this your first
I did
press
a bad
day?
interview in this chair yesterday.
You want to switch?
Can I?
Yeah. All right, Ryan Gosling, Blue Valentine, an epic relationship movie.
All right.
And it's one of those that there's
and a romp,
and a
really.
romp. There's two movies that I can't shake so far at this festival, and one is your movie, and the other is Buried.
I get mistaken for that Ryan Reynolds guy a lot.
Do you really?
People are always disappointed when I'm not him.
But you're a little light. Are you Canadian?
Yeah, I'm Canadian. And they go, and they say, Ryan, and I go, yes, and they go,
I guess.
oh,
I mean,
I see.
you know,
I thought you were
he's
way
brown
more
hair,
fit
brown.
and,
Yeah.
much more handsome and ripped. What happened? Did you get like unattractive and skinny for a role?
All right, let's talk about Blue Valentine. Tell me about why you decided to be in this movie.
I thought, I did this movie, The Notebook, and I had it was a long time ago, and I had a lot of people talk to me about that film, just people in the street, a lot of reactions about it, and a lot of people thought it was romantic, but I think, but also there was it was an interesting. Like for instance, like one guy told me, my wife, I was engaged when we went to see that movie, and I wasn't when we left. And she said to him at one point when she left, she's like, "You wouldn't build a house for me, would you?" And he said, "No." She said, "Well," and he said, "But I don't know how, so I don't know what to do." And she was like, "But if you did know how, would you build a house?" He was like, "Probably not, but it doesn't mean that I don't love you." And she said, "Yes, it does." And she called it off, And I think that like there's a practical element to love, There's this is kind of the stuff that wasn't in that film. It's all the things that film kind of skirted over, I think both are valuable, but I think it's also, now that I'm older and have been in relationships more than I had been at that time, I have like there's another perspective that can be offered,
How do you make your decisions on what you're going to be in?
It's a line in the film. It's cheesy to reference it, but it feels kind of true that, like a song, you could be out at a place all night and songs are playing and you like those songs, but you don't feel like you have to dance, and then suddenly a song comes on and you just got to dance. You don't know why, you just do, and that's what it feels like. You just read something and you know that you have to do it, and I think there's also like you have to feel like. I think a lot of times that I read things, I think that someone could do it better, and I don't want to spend my time on something where like I don't feel like I'm the one that should be doing it.
And so through the process of this movie, in the end, do you believe that love can last?
Well,
And they say that's true. What you love about someone when you meet them is what you will annoy you later on.
Yeah, you say that like you learned that the hard way.
Oh, I think we've all learned that lesson, haven't we? I mean, I think you talk about, you get to a certain point, you're 29, 30 years old, you've been in relationships, a couple public, a couple private, whatever. Of course, we've all experienced that. I think that's why the movie's so haunting.
Right.
It's a universal experience.
Yeah. I think that personally, I feel like it's a hopeful movie because I think it addresses something that needs to be addressed, and the only way to, like, heal from something is to address it, acknowledge it, and then move forward. A lot of times when you get into a fight with whoever you're with, it can make you, it helps bring you closer. And I think that, I think that people, like Michelle said something really interesting to me about being a mom. She was just saying that, part of your life as a mother and as a parent is playing. And you just, even whether you're in the mood or not, you have to play. You just force yourself to play because if you don't, your kid gets mean, and they need to play. And I thought it was an interesting. It helped me to understand the movie in a way that, like, maybe relationships are like that. Like you have to take them out in the backyard and run them around every day, and if you don't, it'll start to sour. I think what happens is these people take it for granted, and they go, "Okay, you love me, I love you. Okay, great. Now we got that covered. We can go focus on our lives." And then this thing just starts to sort of sour, and then they just expect it to be the way because it came so naturally. It was just this thing that happened right, at first sight, and it just was so easy. They want it to be effortless forever, and I think that it takes work, and you know, my hope is that when people see the film, and there's been a lot of those reactions, like I've seen guys come out of the movie like, I gotta go call my wife, you know. It just starts a dialogue. It also starts a riot. Like I heard on the bus at the end of the premiere, there was like people. It was like the Jerry Springer show.
Really?
Like, hey, it's his fault. It's her fault. He's an asshole. She's a, you know.
I don't know. I don't think that they end up. Do you think that they get back together?
Yeah, I do. I really did. I just think that it's 2 days of their life, you know. I mean, it's a bad 2 days, and the film is focusing on those 2 days. But there's so much. I mean, it's funny to me that they could have so much love in the past, and I just think there's so much love there, and that they have a bad 2 days, and then everyone says, oh, it's over, you know. I just think that that's the problem.
Are your parents still married?
And we got to end it. But we don't look at like how much you've built.
Are your parents still married?
No, they're divorced.
Are you in love right now?
No.
No. Are you still in love with acting?
Yeah, this film really got me back in. It's a great way to work. It's kind of the way I always wanted to. Plus, I just like these stories. I just think that what goes on in the home is more dramatic, and there's more action and romance, and it's a thriller every day in a family, you know. And there's not enough of those movies for me. It's like why I'm a big Cassavetes fan, just because I love that dynamic, and I think that what goes on between a man and a woman is just like endlessly interesting to me.
Which is your favorite Cassavetes film?
It's hard to pick them, you know. I think that, I mean, to be honest, just as on a side thing, I think that there's like a real Cassavetes. I think you would have loved Michelle's performance in this movie, and I think that she's like a real kind of Cassavetes character. I think it's part of the reason why I wanted to do the film is because she was doing it, and because I just think it's such a great female. I'm kind of jealous that I'm not an actress and I couldn't play that role, because I just don't think that women are reflected that way in film, you know? It's like they're expected that if they have a husband that loves them and loves the kid, that they should just be happy, you know? And there's no consideration of like, well, what if that's not, what if she doesn't love him?
There's people have certain expectations for you as an actor, certainly after The Notebook and a bunch of movies, and it's like, why wouldn't he do this? Why wouldn't he do that? Or why did he drop out of that movie? And it's kind of interesting where it's really hard to stick to that. No, this is what I want to do, and this is enough for me, and not to listen to all the voices. And in that film, for men, is it increasingly becoming more acceptable for men to stay home? I mean, and the women work, or
I think I think that the film hopefully raises that as an interesting question, because I have friends who are married and they stay home and their wives are work, and they're the dream guy. They're totally devoted to their wives, to their kids. They take care of the house. They're the best. They're my friends. They're the best guys. But I know for a fact that their wives aren't like jumping their bones when they get home, you know. And I know that they're not just like dying to rip their clothes off when they see them. You know that there's something that's not attractive about it secretly that they don't talk about, you know. And I think it's so unfair, because these guys are doing all these things that they're supposed to do, and yet they're not like being perceived as secretly not being perceived as men, you know.